She walked into court pretending to be disabled. But Judge Judy already had proof she was lying. Karen Whitmore walked into court wearing a spotless white neck brace, leaning heavily on a polished wooden cane, moving so slowly and dramatically that every person in the room instantly looked at her with sympathy. Her face twisted with fake pain every few seconds. She breathed carefully, winced loudly whenever she adjusted herself in the chair, and acted as though even sitting upright was unbearable torture. She was suing her former employer, Richard Henderson, for $50,000. According to Karen, a simple workplace accident had completely destroyed her life. But what Karen didn't know was that Judge Judy had already spent the previous night uncovering secrets that would completely ruin her scam in front of millions of viewers. And sitting quietly in the back row of the courtroom was a silver-haired medical expert carrying evidence so devastating that Karen's entire performance was about to collapse in less than 3 minutes. Karen thought she was about to become rich. Instead, she was about to become the internet's most humiliating fraud story. Karen Whitmore was 47 years old and believed she had mastered the art of manipulating the system. This wasn't her first suspicious lawsuit. Years earlier, she had sued a grocery store over a slip-and-fall accident that security footage later showed never actually happened. The store quietly settled the claim anyway, because fighting it would cost more money than simply paying her. That easy settlement changed Karen forever. Later, she claimed severe whiplash after a tiny parking lot accident and collected thousands more from an insurance company that never wanted the hassle of court. Karen learned something dangerous. Most companies preferred settling suspicious claims instead of risking expensive legal battles. And once she discovered that weakness, she turned fake injuries into a side business. But her latest scam was her biggest one yet. Karen claimed that while working at Henderson accounting firm, she lifted a heavy box of office supplies from a storage room and instantly felt a terrible snap in her neck and spine. She claimed the injury caused permanent damage, unbearable pain, and lifelong disability. According to her lawsuit, she could no longer work normally, sleep properly, drive safely, clean her house, or even cook dinner without suffering severe agony. She demanded compensation for medical bills, emotional suffering, lost wages, future treatment, and permanent disability. But Karen didn't stop there. She spent months building what she believed was a perfect fraud case. She visited multiple doctors separately, so none of them knew about the others. She researched medical terminology online so she could sound believable during appointments. She attended physical therapy sessions just long enough to create official attendance records. She memorized symptoms from internet forums where scammers shared advice about insurance fraud. She even practiced limping in front of her bathroom mirror until it looked natural. Karen studied courtroom videos online. She rehearsed emotional pauses. She learned exactly when to touch her neck brace, exactly when to lower her voice, exactly when to pretend tears were forming. By the time she walked into Judge Judy's courtroom, Karen truly believed she was unstoppable. But she had made one terrible mistake. She underestimated Judge Judy. Richard Henderson sat quietly at the defendant's table, looking exhausted beyond words. The lawsuit had nearly destroyed his life. His insurance premiums tripled overnight. Clients began leaving his accounting firm because they feared legal problems. 2 longtime employees quit because the office environment became toxic after Karen's accusations. Richard had spent 35 years building his business honestly, and now he was watching everything collapse because of someone he once trusted. Karen had worked for him for 6 years. He had given her bonuses, raises, flexible schedules. He had even invited her to family gatherings. Now she was trying to bankrupt him. The courtroom audience expected another routine daytime television case. Nobody realized they were about to witness one of the most brutal fraud takedowns ever seen on television. Judge Judy entered the courtroom carrying a thin file folder, but inside that folder was enough information to destroy Karen's entire story. Judge Judy immediately noticed details most people would never catch. Karen's neck brace looked brand new, despite supposedly being worn for 8 months. Her cane showed almost no signs of regular use. Her movements looked overly theatrical rather than natural. And most importantly, her pain reactions came at moments designed for attention rather than genuine discomfort. Judge Judy had seen thousands of fraud cases over her career, and Karen reminded her of every scammer she had ever exposed. "Ms. Whitmore," Judge Judy began calmly, "tell me what happened." Karen started her carefully rehearsed performance. "Your Honor, on March 15th, I was asked to lift a very heavy box from the storage room. The second I picked it up, I felt something snap in my neck and back. Since that moment, my life has been constant pain." She paused dramatically and touched her neck brace. "I can barely function anymore." Judge Judy stared at her silently. "How heavy was this box?" Karen hesitated very slightly. "At least 40 or 50 pounds. Judge Judy already knew the truth. The box weighed exactly 15 pounds, but she let Karen continue. Karen described unbearable suffering. She claimed she could barely sleep, barely move, barely live normally. She explained how 3 doctors diagnosed serious injuries. "My primary doctor referred me to specialists," Karen said confidently. "They all confirmed severe spinal damage." Judge Judy slowly leaned back. "All 3 doctors agreed your injuries came from lifting this box?" "Yes, Your Honor." Another lie. Judge Judy already knew the doctors had incomplete information because Karen intentionally hid details from each one. Then came the moment that changed everything. Judge Judy looked directly at Karen. "Please demonstrate your range of motion for the court. Turn your head to the left." Karen barely moved. "Oh, I can't. The pain is unbearable." Judge Judy's eyes narrowed. Then she turned toward the back row. "Dr. Martinez, would you step forward, please?" Karen's face immediately lost color. The mysterious silver-haired man stood slowly and approached the front of the courtroom carrying his folder. "This," Judge Judy announced, "is Dr. Robert Martinez, Chief Orthopedic Specialist at St. Mary's Hospital and an expert in workplace injury fraud detection." The courtroom instantly became silent. Karen looked terrified. Dr. Martinez opened his folder calmly. "Your Honor," he began, "I reviewed Ms. Whitmore's medical records, MRI reports, prescription history, physical therapy records, and observed her behavior carefully this morning." Karen interrupted nervously. "I don't understand why this is necessary." Judge Judy cut her off instantly. "You'll understand in a moment," Dr. Martinez continued. "Ms. Whitmore claims severe cervical strain preventing normal neck movement. However, before court began, I personally observed her turn her head approximately 45 degrees toward the wall clock and later turn again toward the courtroom entrance with absolutely no visible discomfort." The audience gasped loudly. Karen's lawyer looked stunned. Karen shook her head frantically. "That's not true." But Dr. Martinez wasn't finished. Additionally, Ms. Whitmore obtained prescription medications from 3 different physicians without informing any of them about the others. Karen's lawyer suddenly froze. He clearly hadn't known. This pattern strongly suggests doctor shopping behavior associated with fraud and prescription abuse. Karen's breathing became shaky. Then Dr. Martinez delivered the final blow. The MRI scans submitted to this court show only normal age-related changes. There is no evidence whatsoever of serious spinal injury. Karen looked completely panicked now, but the worst was still coming. Dr. Martinez pulled out his phone. Your Honor, I also reviewed Ms. Whitmore's public social media accounts. Judge Judy nodded. The courtroom screen lit up. The first image appeared. Karen doing advanced hot yoga poses. The second image appeared. Karen jumping on trampolines with her children. The third image appeared. Karen lifting her daughter onto her shoulders. The audience exploded with shocked reactions. The same woman claiming she couldn't lift a 15-pound box was casually lifting far more weight while smiling for photos online. Karen's entire performance shattered instantly. Her cane was forgotten beside her chair. Her neck brace suddenly looked ridiculous. She sat completely upright without realizing it. Judge Judy noticed immediately. So suddenly you can sit normally? Judge Judy asked coldly. Karen burst into tears. Your Honor, those photos were misunderstood. No, Judge Judy snapped sharply. What was misunderstood is how long you thought you could lie to everybody. Karen tried desperately to explain herself. She claimed the medications allowed temporary movement. She claimed she forced herself through pain for her children. But nobody believed her anymore. Dr. Martinez delivered the final medical conclusion. There is zero evidence this woman suffered any disabling workplace injury whatsoever. Judge Judy looked directly at Karen. Ms. Whitmore, you are not a victim. You are a fraud. The courtroom became completely silent. You lied to doctors. You lied to this court. And you tried to destroy an innocent man's business for money. Richard Henderson lowered his head as tears filled his eyes. Judge Judy continued. Judgment for the defendant. Karen collapsed emotionally. But Judge Judy wasn't done. I am also referring this matter to the district attorney for investigation into insurance fraud, perjury, attempted theft by deception, and fraudulent medical claims. Karen looked horrified. The gavel slammed down like a gunshot. Everything was over. The woman who entered court pretending to be disabled had forgotten her cane completely by the time security escorted her out. Within hours, clips of the courtroom exposure exploded across the internet. Millions watched Karen's fake courtroom performance compared beside her yoga photos and trampoline videos. The footage went viral everywhere. People called it one of the greatest fraud exposures ever seen on television. Insurance investigators began using the episode for fraud training seminars, and Karen's life completely collapsed afterward. Criminal charges were filed within weeks. She eventually pleaded guilty to avoid a full criminal trial. She lost nearly everything. Her marriage ended. Her professional reputation was destroyed forever. And the scam she thought would make her rich ended up ruining her entire life. Meanwhile, Richard Henderson finally rebuilt his business and publicly thanked Judge Judy for saving him from financial destruction. Because in Judge Judy's courtroom,